We are going to call this meeting to order. The time is now 7:30. This is the regular council meeting for January 11th, 2021. Clerk, can you please do a roll call? And just a reminder for everyone to please state the county that you are in. Thank you.
Yes. Councilman Bliss?
I'm here remotely in Madison Heights, Oakland County, Michigan.
Councilwoman Clark?
Here remotely, Oakland County, Michigan, Madison Heights.
Councilman Corbett?
Here, remote and live from Madison Heights in Oakland County.
Councilman Gettings?
Here in Madison Heights in Oakland County, remote.
Councilman Rohrbach?
I'm here in Madison Heights, remote, Oakland County.
Mayor Pro Tem Soltis?
Here, remote, Oakland County, Madison Heights.
Mayor Grafstein?
I am here, I am present in council chambers in Madison Heights, Oakland County. And the invocation this evening and the pledge will be led by me. I'm not going to be doing an invocation this evening. Instead, I ask that everyone just take a moment of silence to reflect on the tragedies of the last 12 months. Thank you. If you would join me in standing, if you are able, for the reciting of the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the
to the
flag
flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First up, we have approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions this evening?
Your Honor.
Mr. Corbett.
The staff has requested that an item related to a union agreement for that was settled with, I believe, the department heads be added. And I'm guessing to reports. I would ask it be added to R2.
All right, thank you. Motion has been made to add the D2 report. Is there support?
Your Honor.
Councilor Rohrbach.
I'll support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Councilman Bliss?
Yes.
Councilwoman Clark?
Yes.
Councilman Corbett?
Yes.
Councilman Gettings?
Yes.
Councilor Rohrbach?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Soltis?
Yes.
Mayor Grafstein?
I vote yes. Motion carries. The item is added. Thank you. Are there any other additions or deletions to the agenda this evening? All right. Seeing none, we will go to presentations. Mrs. Marsh, you have a presentation?
Yes, tonight, sadly, we are giving a condolence resolution to the family of Earl Stone, and I know his grandson, Sean, is here. I saw him on the Zoom. I thought his daughter, Sharon, was also going to be joining us. But first, I'll read the condolence resolution. Whereas Madison Heights Mayor and City Council were saddened to learn of the passing of Earl Mr. Baseball Stone on December the 25th of 2020. And whereas longtime residents of Madison Heights, Earl and his wife Polly of 56 years have two beautiful children, Sharon and Ronnie, along with two grandchildren, Sean and Jonathan, who have brought them much pride, joy, and happiness throughout the years. And whereas Earl was active in the community, having served as a president of the Madison Heights Little League Baseball for the past 34 years, and was the longest serving member of the Madison Heights Park and Recreation Advisory Board, sitting on this board for 32 years. He oversaw the building of the baseball complex at Page Middle School. And whereas Earl was recognized by the state of Michigan for his accomplishments in youth baseball, as well as locally for his achievements with Madison Heights Little League Baseball program, including being named Citizen of the Year. Earl will always be known throughout Madison Heights as Mr. Baseball. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and city council of the city of Madison Heights do hereby extend the community's condolences to the family of Earl Stone and hope that the good he did in his lifetime will comfort and console them. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to his family as a token of sympathy.
Thank you. And are we voting on this, or are we just, no, we don't need to vote on it. All right,
No, but there may be people that would
People
like
want
to
to speak.
speak.
yes.
Your Honor,
Please, Mr. Corbett.
I'm sorry, did I cut you off? Did you want to?
I was just going to say.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Yeah, this is, he is Mr. Baseball. I was on the Parks and Rec for a short period of time with Mr. Stone, and everyone that I've talked to who grew up with him, who had baseball in their life, had Earl Stone in their life. My children didn't do baseball, so everything that I knew was from the sides. But he really was Mr. Baseball, and I think it was 2019. I was at the opening pitch, and he was starting to fail in health, but he was still there. It was just so important to him to be there, and I would see him out at other times at Rosie's, just sort of checking on the field before a game, day before a game, and baseball really was his life. And if I had to come up with one word to describe him, it would be baseball. If I had to come up with a second, it would be Sheriff Stone. So I wish Polly and his family well in their time. Mr. Corbett?
Thank you, ma'am. I just wanted to echo your comments. Every community has certain individuals who find their niche in the community, and they're single-minded in their pursuit. Earl's was to a large extent baseball. He also had an abiding interest in the overall quality of our parks, in the maintenance and restoration of the more worn areas. But yeah, he really was all about the baseball. And it was interesting over the years, I would hear of little controversies and so on. And Earl was always single-minded though in his decision making, and in terms of what allows more children, girls and boys, to play baseball, to have equal opportunity and I don't mean that in some larger sense. I just mean everybody got to play, everybody got to enjoy it. And as an old baseball fan myself, I like the idea that there's another generation that's learning the beauty of the game. So, but Earl and his wife Polly, who was right by his side all that time, really were, they're just valuable assets to the community. And his loss, I'm sure, will be immeasurable. I know there are others at in this meeting tonight. I know Mr. Gettings probably knew Earl longer than I did, but anyway, I just want to express my sympathy, express my personal thanks as a member of the council, and I think more importantly, as a member of the community, and to the family for having provided him to us for all these years. I'm sure it was a lot of days and nights away from home, serving others, serving the kids and families of the community. And so thank you very much, and Godspeed, my friend. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Gettings,
Ms.
did you want to speak?
Grafstein?
Please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I did know Earl a long time and worked with him through the rec department. But one thing that comes to mind is he and his wife kind of worked together for all these years. And that's kind of a neat thing when you think about it, that a husband and wife team can be so involved in the organization as they were with Little League Baseball. One thing that strikes me with Earl is the word common sense. He always seemed to think things out, maybe being a former engineer, but he always thought things out and would say what he felt, even if it was against the other ideas on the table. He was an excellent human being, and he's going to be lost to the community and to his family. I really liked him, and we will miss him very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gettings. Is there anyone on council who wanted to say something?
Your Honor, I just wanted to add one comment.
Please, Mr. Sherman, go ahead.
For many years, first of all, my condolences to the Stone family. along with council, we sponsor a team each year in the name of our firm, and have done so for several decades already. And this year, in memory of Earl, since the couple of family members are on the Zoom, I wanted them to know we asked County Commissioner McGilvery to rename the Sherman and Sherman PC team the Earl Stone team. So my condolences to the family. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Sherman. All right, was there anyone else who wanted to speak?
Your Honor.
Mr. Bliss, please go ahead.
Most of what I would say has been added, but already. But I think one thing that might have been missed is Earl's passion for the youth, and being able to give the youth of our community the opportunity to, learn important things like teamwork, and to be able to experience our parks and to be able to play outside. And I spent a handful of years working with him with Parks and Rec, and I will never forget that first meeting when I walked in there and started putting my new ideas out there, and the first thing that Earl said was, how is that going to impact the kids? And that's incredibly worth noting. I think it was said earlier that there's entire generations that have been touched in some way by the volunteerism that he showed and his passion and commitment for this community. And that was really evident just in talking to him for even 5 minutes. You'd be able to see how much he cared about our youth, not just in baseball, but in everything that they did, and their ability to play outside and learn skills. And so really sad that he's gone. He will absolutely be missed, and my condolences to his family.
Thank you. Anyone else want to say anything? All right. So again, on behalf of council, thank you for sharing Earl with us. We very much appreciate it, and we're very sorry for your loss. All right. Up next is meeting open to the public. This is the opportunity for the public to speak to us. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please state your name, your address, any affiliation with the city. And with that, I'm going to look to see if I see anyone who has comments tonight. If you could raise your hand or somehow get our attention. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone. Mrs. Rotman, do you see anyone who wishes to speak? See anyone?
I do not.
Okay. All right, then I will be closing public comment then. First item will be reports D1. Before we get to the item of D1, I do have a statement that's going to be read into the minutes, and Mrs. Rotman, I will provide you with a copy of that later this evening. At the end of 2019, when I found out that, unknown to me and without my permission, my name and address were included on a list of potential claimants to the uncertified class, I recused myself from all votes and meetings regarding this claim. I later signed an affidavit relinquishing any monies paid out from the claim should it be settled. However, to avoid any potential appearance of impropriety, I will be taking the utmost precaution and recusing myself from the discussion and abstaining from the vote this evening. Mayor Pro Tem Soltis, can you please take over as chair for this agenda item?
Yes, I will. First time in 7 years. Okay, let's give it a try. So D1 reports, City Manager Chadwell et al. Versus City of Madison Heights et al. And the Hanover Insurance Company, Insurance Group, Inc. versus City of Madison Heights Settlement Agreement. City Manager, do you have any comments?
Yes, I do. City Council is being asked to consider the class action settlement agreement for 2 classes resulting from the 2014 rain event, specifically Chadwell et al. Versus City of Madison Heights and Hanover Insurance Group versus City of Madison Heights. Approvals of the proposed settlement have already been obtained by 6 municipalities, including Berkeley, Clawson, Hazel Park, Huntington Woods, Oak Park, and Royal Oak, with many more being considered tonight. Approval has also been obtained from the George W. Kuhn Drainage District, the Oakland Water Resources Commission, and approval from Oakland County is still in process. Madison Heights' portion of the proposed global class settlement is $336,887, and improvement measures in the amount of $171,124, which has been budgeted for and will be completed over the next 2 years. The city has remaining self-insurance retainage coverage with the MMRMA for approximately half of the settlement amount, and as a result, an appropriation must be made for the remaining settlement amount of $175,000. If council concurs, 2 motions will be required. First, a motion to appropriate the $175,000. An appropriation requires the support of 5 members of city council per the city charter. A second motion would be required to authorize the settlement agreement in Chadwell et al. Versus City of Madison Heights et al. And the Hanover Insurance Group versus City of Madison Heights, County Circuit Court case numbers 15-1477994NZ and 17-160250NZ respectively.
Thank you, City Manager Marsh. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor.
Your Honor, go ahead.
Mr. Corbett,
Sir, I move that the council appropriate $175,000 as a transfer within account. I hope I'm saying that right, in order to accommodate an unexpected expense. And it is a change of the budget.
any support?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Clark,
I'll support.
thank you. Is there any comments?
Your Honor, I
Yes, sir.
suppose I'll hold my comments for the next item where it's probably more appropriate, but this is simply to get us to where we need to be in a moment. So, thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing there is none, no further comments. City Clerk, can you take a roll call, please?
Yes. Councilwoman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Corbett,
Yes.
Councilman Gettings,
Yes.
Councilor Rohrbach,
Yes.
Councilman Bliss,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Soltis.
Yes.
Okay, 6-0. And Mayor Grafstein is abstaining, correct?
Yes.
I'm abstaining.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes, sir.
second motion would now be required to authorize the settlement agreement in both cases, Chadwell et al. Versus Madison Heights and the Hanover Insurance Group versus the City of Madison Heights.
Your Honor,
Your Honor.
Was that Councilwoman Clark?
yep, that's me. I'd like to move that council authorize the settlement agreement in Chadwell et al. Versus City of Madison Heights et al. And the Hanover Insurance Group versus City of Madison Heights.
Any support?
Your Honor, support.
Council, yes, sir. Councilman Corbett supports. Any comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Pro Tem, sir. Yeah, this has been in the background for a long time, and we went down on some side issues involving it, but at its core, this is a significant threat to the financial stability of Madison Heights. I'm referring to the lawsuit overall. My personal opinion, not half as a council person and just half as a resident, is that this was a nonsensical lawsuit from the jump. I'm not unsympathetic. I was one of the people who abstained and suffered considerable loss in my personal property. But the implication that was behind much of this, that somehow that the city was seriously negligent in its efforts to protect its residents, is absurd. This was a out-of-state lawsuit in origin, where they went around and organized and developed a class. And I don't think it's an accident that those who promoted and who litigated this are going to be arguably as well or better compensated than the Madison Heights residents who really did suffer damage in their basements and in their houses and streets by this. Having said all of that, and I'm normally, I don't know what the word is, the nuisance suits, which this is not, this is like a whole nother league. I don't normally go with, but the fact of the matter is that when you go back and look at it, this is a relatively, notice I use the word relatively, small price for the city to get the dangerous anvil that's over our head financially. This is $175,000 on this, but there was some additional money that was referred to, a total $336,000 and change, I think was what our portion was. Considering where this lawsuit could have gone, I think this is responsible. But I want to just say to the residents who I think are understandably concerned and who did suffer loss several years ago during this flood. This was a 300-year flood. We've heard that often before, and that's just not a figure of speech, but that is an actual engineering reference point. And what happened was 5 to 6 inches of rain got dumped on a peninsula in 3 to 4 hours. I would respectfully suggest that the city and the Oakland County and those who are all part of this system were responsible and did their jobs. The reason I believe that is because we did not have, after this, we did not have neighborhoods washed away. There was not a body count that went with this. And you only need to go through your history books and see what happened down south in the 30s when there was flooding throughout many areas of Georgia and Alabama. Thousands of people were killed. Well, obviously we're much further along now than that. So I think we've met our obligation. I think we've acted responsibly. I don't like spending money, as a general principle. And in cases like this, even more so. But I think it's responsible. I think it helps everybody to get this behind us. And I will continue to argue that our legislature and governor should look into the issue of governmental immunity and reform into the distance, because we never really, in my opinion, we never should have come to this point. That's all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other comments? Hearing no comments, City Clerk, can you take a roll call, please?
Yes. Councilman Corbett,
Yes.
Councilman Gettings, Councilman Gettings,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilor Rohrbach,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Soltis,
Yes.
Councilman Bliss,
Yes.
and Mayor Gregson's abstaining.
Councilwoman Clark?
I'm so sorry, Councilwoman Clark.
Yes.
All right. I think the mayor can come back.
Thank you, Mr. Soltis. Good job. All right, thank you. Next up is D2, the report that was just added regarding the union. Mrs. Marsh, do you have a report for us?
No, other than this agreement follows what was authorized by council and is the same as we approved for fire.
All right, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Mr. Corbett,
I move that the council approve the agreement with the department heads union as negotiated by staff and legal.
great, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Clark?
I'll support.
Great, thank you. Motion has been made and seconded regarding the union contract. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Yes. Councilman Gettings,
Yes,
Councilor Rohrbach,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Soltis,
Yes,
Councilman Bliss,
Yes,
Councilwoman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Corbett,
Yes,
Mayor Grafstein.
I vote yes, motion carries. Thank you. All right, next up, we have bid awards purchases F1 from the DPS Director, purchase of a water sewer portable light. Mrs. Marsh, you have a report?
Yes, fiscal year 2021 budget and capital improvement plan includes the purchasing of a tow-behind diesel-powered light tower funded through the Water and Sewer Division. This piece of equipment's primary use is to light up the work area for main water main breaks that run late or happen during the night. This equipment will also be used for nighttime events and general emergency response where lighting and electricity is needed. It features an 8-kilowatt generator, which can be used to power election precincts if needed, or partially power the city building in an event of an extended power failure. The city can take advantage of the state of Michigan MyDeal cooperative bid to purchase this piece of equipment. Therefore, staff and I recommend that council approve the purchase of a Dosen portable light tower from Cloverdale Equipment Company of Oak Park with options as quoted in the amount of $11,075, but funds are budgeted and available for this purchase.
Great, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your
Your
Honor,
Honor.
Your Honor.
Councilwoman Clark?
I move that we approve the purchase of a Doosan portable light tower from Cloverdale Equipment Company of Oak Park with options as quoted in the amount of $11,075 from the funds that are budgeted and available for this purchase.
Great, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Councilor Rohrbach?
I'll support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion from council? All right, seeing none, clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Councilor Rohrbach,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Soltis,
yes,
Councilman Bliss,
Yes,
Councilwoman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Corbett,
yes,
Councilman Gettings,
yes,
Mayor Grafstein.
I vote yes, motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have ordinances G1, ordinance 2164 to amend, to update the process to allow for electronic submittal of sealed bids. This is the second reading. Mrs. Marsh, do you have a report? Okay, I think we're going to just wait a minute for Mrs. Marsh for the report. I think she was having a technical issue.
you want me to stand in for her too? No, I'm just kidding.
Let's give her a minute.
I can read it if you want.
Okay, Mrs. Marsh is having a technical issue, but she will be back momentarily. If anybody wants to take a 1 or 2 minute break, we are just going to wait for her to come back. Okay, Mrs. Marsh, we were on G1, the ordinance for 2164, if you have a report.
Yes, under the current Madison Heights Code of Ordinance, Chapter 2, Article 11, Section 2 of 246, the city requires hard copies of sealed bid documents for acquiring goods, services, and construction of public use requiring formal bid. This ordinance further states that the threshold of purchasing limit formal bid is $10,000 and a minimum quotation threshold is $2,500. The COVID-19 health crisis necessitated that we offer as many online service options as possible, especially as our offices closed to the public and the world transitioned to a work from home model. Therefore, it became essential to revise the requirement for paper copies of sealed bids as the only acceptable forms under our purchasing ordinance. The attached red line ordinance amendment allows for electronic acceptance as long as the bid's security, authenticity, and confidentiality remain the same as through paper submittals. Through the Mitten purchasing system, we can accept sealed electronic bids to protect this information as being presented. In addition to this necessary amendment, staff and I reviewed the entire section of changes and of what would streamline the city's process. As part of this amendment, we are also recommending to increase the threshold limits for formal bids from $10,000 to $15,000 and the minimum quotation bids from $2,500 to $5,000. If City Council concurs, we would recommend that you approve this ordinance amendment upon second reading.
Great, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor.
Your Honor. Go ahead.
Councilor Rohrbach?
I move that council approves city ordinance 2164 amendment to update the process to allow for electronic submittal of sealed bids on the second reading.
Great, thank you. Is there support?
Do I need to, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Yep.
Do I need to state the minimum amounts?
I would
Yes.
if I were you, just to
Yeah,
clarify.
please go ahead.
All right, so increasing the threshold limits for formal bids from 10,000 to 15,000 and the minimum quotation bids from 2,500 to $5,000.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Grafstein,
Is there support? Mr.
Ms.
Gettings?
Grafstein. I support.
Thank you, Mr. Gettings. A motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none. Clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Soltis,
Yes.
Councilman Bliss,
Yes.
Councilwoman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Corbett,
Yes.
Councilman Gettings,
Yes,
Councilor Rohrbach,
Yes.
Mayor Grafstein.
Oh, yes, motion carries. Thank you. Next up, minutes. And I have a motion regarding the minutes of the regular city council meeting from December 14th, 2020.
Your Honor,
Mr. Corbett,
I move to approve the minutes of the meeting of the I'm sorry, I just lost it. The 14th was it? What was the date on that?
14th of December.
14th of December, regular meeting minutes. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Mr. Epstein,
Mr. Soltis?
support, please.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion regarding the meeting minutes? Okay, seeing none, clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Councilman Bliss,
Yes.
Councilwoman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Corbett,
Yes,
Councilman Gettings,
yes,
Councilor Rohrbach,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Soltis,
Yes.
Mayor Grafstein.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Thank you. That is it for the regular meeting today. So I invite closing comments from council, starting with Mr. Corbett.
well, I actually, despite having been away so long, I really don't have much to add this evening other than to wish everybody on council and in the community a happy new year. These are some grim times that we're going through with what we've seen in Washington the last week or so. I pray for our nation that the cooler and better heads prevail, because this is one of those things that could get out of control very quickly. So I think we should all pull together, whether in our neighborhoods or state, and certainly in our country. Extend an open hand to one another, and always stop and be willing to listen to what the other person has to say. I think that is terribly, terribly needed at this moment. But other than that, Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Mr. Bliss?
Yes, Your Honor. Just one quick thing. Little update from a request a few years ago. I had called for, like, at the time, the ability for our city to expand the limited private event rental options that we had for residents. So, we only have a couple of buildings and rooms, and there are limited park options tied to pavilions that were available for rent. At the time, we had some staff limitations that kind of shut down that effort, at least paused it for a while. But I'm really thankful that, with the support of staff and the backing of Mayor Pro Tem Soltis in, this renewed call for it, that we're finally going to be able to get this across the finish line, I hope, at next meeting. And so this couldn't have come at a better time, in my opinion. I know the community has started discussing it on social media with some of the parks and buildings near them. I honestly think people are really just looking for safe ways for their families to get together outside in the spring. And now they'll be able to do that. They'll be able to rent the park down the street from their house for a private event, ensuring that they're going to be able to do that, particularly a park like Monroe that does have a pavilion in place. All sides are open. That's going to be a great place, particularly for those in the neighborhood, to be able to have a gathering there safely in the spring. And so really excited that that's going to be coming to the table. Also, this is going to make both of the buildings that the Arts Board's been able to put murals on available to be rented for parties to the general public. And so really excited for that coming down. Obviously, there's a lot of fine print that I'm sure we'll get into next week on what some of the process is going to be for renting those out. It's not going to be too dissimilar to what we already have, but there's also the caveat of what COVID restrictions we're going to have at the time, and will that allow for these types of rentals. But I feel pretty confident that at least with the parks, that's going to be open and available for families to be able to utilize. And I'm really excited about this because it's one of those small items that can make a difference to the families in our community. So looking forward to discussing it and voting on it next meeting. And I'm thankful for staff for being able to A, compile it so quickly, and B, being able to come up with something that I think is going to be a great solution for us long term. Also, before I turn it over, wanted to give some props to Councilor Rohrbach. I love the new glasses. That's it, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Bliss. Counselor Warbach, you're up with your glasses.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Bliss. A few years ago, about 3 years ago, I went to the eye doctor and he said, now that you've hit 40, you're going to expect your vision to decline quickly. And I was like, oh, whatever. But now I have to have reading glasses. So here we are. I want to read a statement that I wrote this week, because I think it is extremely important for us to address this issue. In light of the horrendous and seditious actions by supporters of the outgoing president inciting a riot at our nation's capital, I am moved to denounce their actions in no uncertain terms. As a nonpartisan elected city official, I'm really careful to separate my personal, strongly held political beliefs, but I don't think this is that. I think what I'm talking about here goes to the core of who we are as Americans. At the local level, our city government is all about taking care of our residents, making sure the streets are plowed, our trash is picked up, our elections are well run, and that we have a robust quality services and facilities and programs for everyone. We might have disagreements about how we achieve those things, but I believe that we all want the same things. So we can achieve so much as a community. We can be an amazing community and make everyone's lives better, but only if we come together and work together. All of us have an opportunity to lead our neighbors toward a happy and healthy and united community. So how do we get beyond this moment? We're not going to just sing Kumbaya, right? We are going to need to reconcile to each other and to our fellow Americans, to our fellow Madison Heights people. And I don't have all the answers about how that's going to happen, but I know that we are called to care for our neighbors. We're called to hold one another accountable, seek justice, challenge discriminations when we see it, and we're called to find those who have been left behind and to bring them into the fold. We're called to be kind, we're called to be forgiving, we're called to show grace, and none of this is easy. But all of it is necessary. So I see these things happening every day in this city, from our neighbors who stepped up and created a robust emergency pantry to serve those in need during the pandemic and beyond, to the city clerk who responded to our record-breaking election participation with grace and efficiency, to our city manager who has been thrown, curveball after curveball after curveball and has just performed in remarkable ways throughout this time. From our local police chief who stepped up as a leader in our work of racial reconciliation, every officer, detective, firefighter, and paramedic, dispatcher, everybody who works in the city has shown this dedication to serve the people of the city. Our DPS staff who ensure our roads are clear, our trees are planted, our parks are maintained. The city staff who make sure we're financially stable and resources are properly stewarded. Every single one of them and every single one of us has a role to play in making our community strong. And I implore everyone, every resident of this city, no matter who you are, to play a part in the good that we are as a community. None of us are perfect, not one of us. But with work, we can be better. We can be a better community. So let's be better. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Warbach. Those were very moving words. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. Sherman, anything from the attorney's office? Okay, you're on mute.
Sorry, Your Honor. Took my glasses off for fear of not getting the same compliment that Councilor Rohrbach received for her new glasses. But I just want to say, I just want to wish to the council, your families, and all of our citizens a happy and a much healthier 2021 for us, the state, the country, and the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sherman. Mrs. Marsh?
I have nothing this evening.
Thank you. Mrs. Rotman, anything from the clerk's office?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gettings?
There we go. Just like to echo Larry's words along with Emily and Bob and Mark. Hopefully 2021 will be a better year. Hopefully the cure they've come out for will affect everyone in a good way. Looking forward to sunshine and summer and spring and all the good things that God has in store for. Put 2020 in the background and look forward to the new year. Thank you very much, Ms. Grafstein.
Mr. Gettings. Councilwoman Clark.
Yes, thank you. You know, a lot of us think of local politics or local government as being far removed from the world stage of what happens on Capitol Hill. But in reality, we're the first step in informing what it is that they're fighting for out there. And I couldn't be more disappointed in our leaders at Capitol Hill at this moment. And so I wanted to reflect on that a little bit to remind our community that not only is it going to take all of us unifying and pulling together to get us through the worst of this mess, because we may not have even seen the worst of it, but to build back a better community. And if you don't see representation of yourself among your community leaders, then you're going to have to be that representation. So I'm encouraging my neighbors to get more involved in their city government and to get more involved in what's going on inside their community. I know we're fortunate to have a community that's pretty close knit. We're only 7 square miles, and thousands of us communicate with each other on Facebook every single day. But I'm asking you to look deeper. Look at your leaders. Are they representation of you? Are they representation of your morals and your values? Are they going to do things and work hard to help you improve your community? Get involved and pay attention. And if you don't find representation, I'm encouraging you to get out there and run to do it. I too condemn the acts that are happening on Capitol Hill, from the protesters that started the riots and the insurrection to the politicians who have let this go on so long. It's shameful. I, for one, plan in 2021 to exemplify myself as a leader and show my community what it means and what it looks like to take care of them and to advocate for them. And I hope you all do the same.
Thank you, Councilwoman Clark. Mayor Pro Tem Soltis.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I was fortunate enough to get the first dose of the vaccine, and no problems. You know, my arm didn't fall off or any situation. So I encourage everybody to please take that vaccine if you get the opportunity. That's the only way that I think we're going to get through this. That's what the experts are saying. I mean, I did have a little soreness in my arm, but I'll take that any day over the other symptoms. And I too was, I watched by accident on TV in horror of seeing that scene of a mob, which I think it's never obviously been done in the history of this country, except I think maybe way back. But this was not our own people. And so I looked at it in horror. It was like, it reminded me like 9/11, watching that horrific scenes, and to see them busting out the windows and climbing over the scaling the walls, and good God, they were breaking down doors, and the Congress had to get swept away by Secret Service into hiding. And you saw other council members hiding under their chairs, putting on those gas masks. I mean, I just couldn't even believe it that this was happening. And, you know, in my opinion, it was all instigated by that speech that he gave. And so, what did he think was going to happen? You know, and so I really hope they impeach him, even if he's after he's out, because it can't go without some consequences, because there were one officer was murdered, you know, and so how do you reconcile that? And where was the National Guard? I mean, You know, you had the president holding a Bible and he closed off the Black Lives Matter. But where was the National Guard? Can you imagine if those protests even came close to the same thing? Or it would have been a whole different scenario. So I think there's a lot of explanation and investigation that has to go on, because that was just incredible. It was probably the saddest day, besides 9/11 that I can recall. It's there's so many answers that have to be, or questions to be answered, and people have to be held accountable, and all the other politicians, and I'm glad to see Congress that came back and finished the election results, but there were some in the House as well as in the Senate that were trying to create protests, and it's just, I don't know, when's it going to end? But anyhow, that's my opinion, and I agree with my other fellow council members that we, at least in Madison Heights, we got 30,000 people, and we can come together at least and show support to each other. I think we've done that over the years, and so we just have to continue. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Soltis. Confucius said, "May you live in interesting times." I don't think this is what was meant by that. No Jews, no blacks, no dogs. There was a point in time where that was a common sign outside the door of a store. Just as common as no pets, no shirts, no shoes, no service. No Jews, no blacks, no dogs. There was a point in time where you could equate someone who was Jewish, someone who was black, to being a dog, a subhuman. There are people who still believe that. Muslims, same thing, subhuman. There are people who believe that. If you don't look like me, if you didn't grow up like me, if you think differently than me, then you are bad and you are wrong. There are still people who believe that. Madison Heights does not believe that. We are a city that is rich in culture and diversity, and racism has no home here. And we condemn any and all hateful ideologies. Jews are welcome, Muslims are welcome, blacks are welcome. Regardless of your race, your religion, your culture, any of your differences, if you have love in your heart, you are welcome here. If you believe in hate, you are not. Councillor Rohrbach made a mention of the pantry. I believe it was Councillor Rohrbach. And last week, 2 weeks ago, they moved to a church, and they are not part of the church. And you can go to the pantry and you don't have to be part of the church. But what they had at their ribbon cutting was a ribbon I've never seen before. Normally it is a red ribbon. This was a ribbon that was covered in little ribbons to reflect the diversity and the differences and the different volunteer groups that came together to help with the pantry. There were the colors of Madison District. There were the colors of Lamphere, of the Men's Club, of the Women's Club, of all the different groups that came together. And that ribbon was one of the most beautiful things that I have ever seen, because it's who we are. And that pantry is who we are. Our community came together last year and developed this pantry. Random strangers got together and said, we have a need in the city. Maybe I don't have this need, but I know that other people do. And almost overnight, they developed this pantry, they set something up. It's now an actual charity. They are an organization that is fully functional, and their purpose is to bring the community together and to help people. And that is what our community does. So with all the horrors and the tragedies, with the senseless deaths that we have seen over the last 12 months through COVID and through senseless hate, there is light, there are silver linings, and we need to look for those. We need to look for the good. Mr. Soltis, I hope everything goes well with your second shot. I hope that goes well. I'm feeling good about the people who are getting the vaccine. This is hope. This is giving me hope. The number of people who have come out to condemn the actions of last week and the horrors of last week, this gives me hope. But we are a fractured country, and it doesn't matter if you are a left or a right, a Republican or a Democrat. It doesn't matter. Hate is wrong. Racism is wrong, and hate has no home here. So I look forward to coming together of everybody, working together for our community. We have a lot of good things that are going on, and I look forward to working with everyone in this coming year, doing good for the community. Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, we have the DDA meeting. If anyone is interested in that, then I welcome you to join us to that. The time is now 8:26. Our next meeting will be in 2 weeks on the 25th. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Good night.